back to the channel. Sorry that I'm late, but I had some technical issues. So let me know if everybody can hear me clearly because the mic was not working for a minute there. So hopefully it's fixed. Should be fixed. Um, and yeah, we're gonna talk about a few things today. Um, we're gonna talk about Huijsen as well. We're gonna talk about Soulé because they both spoke in the same week, or like in a week's time, and they both had a different approach in terms of talking about the future. Now, there is context. One was an interview, Soulé. The other one was a post-game forced quick interview. So that's something we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about Chiesa versus Allegri. I'm not going to spoil it too much because I did made a video. What's the light? Because I did made a video on Chiesa and Allegri because that's a hot topic as well. So we're gonna talk about that, and we're gonna talk about the next coming games and how we should approach those, especially after the devastating loss against Inter, which kind of derailed potentially the entire season a little bit, or like derailed. It took the season in a different direction, and some might say it's completely lost. Other might say, calm the heck down because there's still a long way to go. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to start off with her. So first, thanks everybody who is joining, like the video. We're going to start off with Soulé. Excuse me, not Huijsen, Soulé. Because he did an interview with the Gazette dello Sport, I think. He said a lot of things, but I think the main point out of that interview was, are you coming back? Are you going to join Juve? Or like, are you gonna stay at Frosinone? Because he was asked about the Saudi bit and all those things, but he had the perfect response. He said basically that, let's see, like, I will come back at Juve because they quote unquote owe me. That's the team. They just loan me out, so I need to go back to um, Juve after the Frosinone season, basically after this season. And then he said, who knows? We need to see because it doesn't really depend on me alone. Like, it depends on what the club wants to do with me, Soule being, I made my stance very clear on Soule. I would love him to have a shot at the club, like a real shot, a proper shot where he can showcase that, what he's done at Frosinone. It's not a fluke. It's not a one-off, but, he can potentially be really that guy and he can be a very important player for the club. So I prefer that, obviously. However, I have a feeling, and I have that feeling the last couple of, I don't know, weeks, months, you guys probably know better for who keeps watching this channel. I think Soule is gone. I don't see Soule play a single minute. Like, there needs to be, the only way I see Soule staying is if Allegri leaves. And it has nothing to do with Allegri doesn't want him or he doesn't want to play with Allegri. Because if Allegri stays, I'm kind of convinced that he will be sacrificed to fund part of the transfer window. However, if a different coach comes in, I think another player could be sacrificed. That's what it is. It's just purely not saying Allegri doesn't rate Soule. However, Allegri has an idea of football that probably will suit other players coming in better than Soule saying, if that makes sense. So a lot will depend on what will happen with Allegri, in my opinion. The Allegri talk is running wild, and that's normal because you lost the game against Inter, and it potentially has a massive effect on your future, on the club as well. So you need to kind of accept that. You need to accept that also there's a big week. We played Sunday, we play on Monday. I saw a lot of people complaining about, the media is trying to take the focus of the season we're having. No, the media is just doing their job. If that really affects the team, then that should be a real concern. The media is just doing what the media does. It's not going to derail our season. What's going to derail our season is dropping points against Empoli and losing against Inter in 8 days, in a span of 8 days. That's what's going to derail our season, not the media talking about Allegri's future. But Soule, everybody saw the article or everybody saw the tweets that he's worth 35 million euros and whatsoever. If an offer comes in of around 35 million euros, how many people believe the club is not going to jump on it? Let me know in the comments, because when I hear those figures and I think about the situation of the club and that we're trying to loan or get Bonaventura and whatever, or loan Alcaraz with a ridiculous transfer fee, option linked to it. How many people actually believe that Juntili or the club is going to say no if 35 million euros will be offered for Soulé? Because at the end of the day, for Juve, he has done nothing, because that's just what it is. He played for Frosinone, so the club can be sitting there and be like, we haven't seen it for us, so 35 million, are we really going to refuse that? With 35 million, we could sign the midfielder we need potentially, or we can add that to the funds we freed up to sign a midfielder. So the Soulé one, I think he responded perfectly to the question. He said basically, let's see, I need to see what's going to happen. I need to understand what the situation is going to be at the club, what the club wants me to be. Maybe they're like, okay, we don't see a future, that's why we bring in Felipe Anderson, in terms of you can generate a lot of funds for us, clean plus Valenza that we desperately need. Or you can come back to the club in the summer and the club is like, yeah, you're the guy, this is what's going to happen. The coach, be Allegri or no Allegri, whatever, we're going to switch it up. It's not going to be wingbacks and all those things. It's going to be proper wingers and whatever. And, you will have a fair shot to win that starting position or just be a very important key player to the team. So it's all up in the air. But that transfer fee is going to be making a big difference, because if he plays like this, I'm pretty convinced a Premier League club will spend or offer a lot of money. And with a lot of money, and with the Premier League club, I saw a lot of people saying, oh, Arsenal not going to do that. Brighton, Bournemouth, they can spend 35, 40 million. It's no issue. Like Bournemouth did, I think, Newcastle, like those teams, they can spend money. You don't need to really think about the top teams. But the entire Premier League is ridiculous. They can spend a lot of money. So don't be shocked if Everton stay in the league and they offer 40 million for Soulé. Now, I'm not saying he's going to jump on that and he's going to join Everton. Like, I'm not saying that. But the transfer fees, the offers for Soulé could be very ridiculous at one point, that maybe some of you will sit there and be like, you know what? We probably should be taking that, considering the many issues we still have in the squad and we need to kind of improve on with very limited funds. So the Soulé one is very interesting. I think that one, it depends more on formation rather than anything else. Now, that was weird. But yeah, that's different. Now, the second one is Huijsen, because he's at Roma. Everybody saw his response. I think it got taken out of context, because it was post game. It was really quickly, and he said, I don't know, let's see, basically. So he just scored a goal. He's not gonna say to all Roma fans, I know you're hyped, but I'm gone. At the end, like, he's not gonna say that. That was just never gonna be the case. So he did the right thing there, in that moment in time. But that one is different, because the Huijsen one for me isn't really linked to formation. It's just linked to make the right decisions at the club now. And with that, I mean, obviously Alexander is gone. He's a free agent. You let him walk. You sign Diallo. You have Bremer. You have Danilo, and you have Gatti. For center backish positions, because Diallo is also in that mix. When I said I think Rugani should be getting a new deal, that was, that was before I knew what Huijsen could potentially mean, like pure value for the player. But now that he's showcasing it in actual Serie A games, potentially that Rugani contract extension is a bit weird, or you need to consider more calmly than just, okay, give him the new deal, because I don't think we're gonna sell Gatti. The club refused 25 million euros for Gatti. If an offer comes in from 35 million euros for Gatti, I will take it because I think he's a good squad player. I just don't see all the attributes, and I know he's still young, and for a center back, he still has a lot to improve on. I think he misses just fundamental things to be a top defender for a top club. That's just my opinion. Can be completely wrong, but I just miss certain things with Gatti every time I watch him. If an offer comes in again this summer for 35 million or 30 million, excuse me, will the club consider that? Like looking at again, money. You get money for Gatti, and you look at Huijsen, you're like, okay, that's clean. That's a very cheap player. Wage-wise, all those things. You got Diallo. You still have Bremer. You still have Danilo. And I know we're being linked with Hermoso. I'm not a big fan of Hermoso as well, to be honest. But it's, again, a tough decision. However, like the video really quickly. Smash the like button. But if you give me the option, if you tell me, and I'm not sure about Diallo because I've not seen anything from him, so I take him out of the picture now. But if you tell me you need to re-sign Rugani and you only have a limit, okay, I need to pick Diallo again. Otherwise, it's not fair. So you have Diallo, you have Rugani, you have Danilo, you have Bremer, and you've Gatti. So you have 5 defenders. Let's say the club sets how do you want to say, like a parameter. You can only have 5 center backs / some potentially could play on the wing. If you have only 5 options at the club, you can only have 5. What would you do with Huijsen? And what would you do with the other 5? Because I think that's a very interesting question, And it's not just be Rugani out, Huijsen in. That's why I'm asking this question. Let's say you have the 5: Diallo, Bremer, Gatti, Danilo, and Rugani, Danilo, Bremer, Gatti, and who am I missing? Bremer, Gatti, Danilo, Diallo, Rugani. So 5, excuse me, and you have Huijsen as number 6 now looking in from the outside. How will you shake that up? And keep in mind financial situations, all those things, and also obviously on the pitch, characteristics and all those things. But how will you shape that up? Because like I said, Rugani, new deal, but you can look at from a completely different perspective. You can look at, what? You cash in on Gatti, because a lot of people do not rate Gatti. You cash in on Gatti, and you bring in Rugani. You sign Rugani to a new deal, but you bring in Huijsen, and Rugani. You know what? You are gonna be the backup, and Huijsen is gonna get more minutes, because that doesn't sound ridiculous, because Rugani is now being the backup to a player that's gonna walk on a free. So it's not that ridiculous to think. Maybe for Allegri, because Huijsen is very young, and Rugani not, so it's probably not going to happen. But just in general, it's not that I'm saying like for like. You do not sign Rugani to a new deal and you bring in Huijsen, because that's bad business. Because if Allegri is going to stay, then Huijsen is going to ride the bench a lot of times. And then I agree with Hanin, it doesn't make sense. Then let him play on loan. But I'm getting to a point now, just the last couple of weeks, saying no to Frosinone and saying I'm going to Roma, and the way he's speaking now, I don't think you can sell or convince Huijsen to go on loan, because he went on loan to Roma. If you want to loan him out again, it needs to be Roma again. But will Roma do that? He's not going to go from Roma on loan to freaking Monza. It's not going to happen. So which quote-unquote big club is okay to have a Juve youngster on loan for 1 season, help them grow, and then say goodbye? That you need to take into consideration, because Roma did that now mid-season. They panicked, they had no money, they were all over the place, and they say, you know what, we'll take it. 6 months, bring in Huijsen, and we will deal with it. So will Huijsen now come back and say, you know what, I will be a bench player, or no, I'm not going to be a bench player. I'm going to go out on loan, or just sell me at this point, because I've proven I can play at a quote-unquote top club, Roma. I can play at a good level at a club with that atmosphere and all those things. I can do that. So that's also a key thing in my opinion, because he's not coming back, and then the club is like, you're going to Monza. He's not going to join Monza after he went to Roma. And Roma, if they really like him, they're not going to take him alone. They will put in an option and all those things, because um, it's just the way it is, you know. Hanine will have to see at the end of the season if he gets serious minutes. Even if he plays like he's playing now, 45 minutes, he's not gonna go on loan to Monza. He will want a bigger club. And my issue is, which bigger club is gonna be like, okay, I'll take you, I will help you grow, and then send you back to. It's very unlikely at this point. It really is, in my opinion. So the Rugani one, the Gatti offer, and all those things, it's going to be very, very interesting in the summer. It really is. But again, some things will also depend on the coach, for sure. However, um, the center back one is more straightforward, in my opinion, than Soulé. That's just how I see it, because Soulé has a bigger market. He will have a bigger value than Huijsen. That's why I'm like, it could be a completely different thing. Um, Let me bring up the chat really quickly. I didn't connect it, so give me one sec. Here we go. LJJ saying, I think Huijsen will play for Juve next season. I'm not so convinced about that, to be honest. I don't blame the club for not selling Gatti last summer. He showed a lot of potential last season, but he regressed this year. I'm I'm with you. I think he took a step back again, and that's a bit worrying, in my opinion. I really do. That's why I'm like, if an offer comes in again from 30 million, I think the club will consider it this time. We might sell Bremer for money. Who knows? If Manu offers 80 plus million euros for Bremer, I don't know how the club says no. I don't think they have a choice. I don't like. Who are you gonna replace Bremer with? I think they will put themselves in a very tough situation, because I don't think the club is. I don't know. I have a weird feeling they will not be prepared for that, and they will just juggle around and bring in players who like, that's just not going to work. A lot of pieces rather than real quality. That's just a feeling I have. So I don't think we can lose Bremer in the summer. I think that will be a big issue. Roma apparently offered 50 million for Huijsen. Huijsen is a squad player next season for Juve. They didn't offer 50. I saw that report. I don't think they're that stupid to offer that, because I think that's very disrespectful. Uh, you know the club is not going to accept that. He got 45 minutes because they were 3-0 up. Yeah, like, I didn't say anything about the 3-0. I'm just saying he played for Roma. He's not going to go to Monza. Like, he's just not. If I'm Huijsen, if I play for Roma, even if it's 45 minutes each week, I'm not going to go on loan to Monza. That's just me, and maybe I'm wrong, and Huijsen's like, I'll take Frosinone next season on Monza. But if that's me, and even if I played half the games from now until the end of the season, I'm not going to go lower than Roma, and I'll tell Juve that you actually use me, or you find a solution for me, and I'll get regular minutes at a big club, because I've shown it, and even if I play garbage time minutes, I'm just not going to do it, because not garbage time minutes at this moment, like, it's serious minutes. He's still very young. So I was not expecting, I think nobody was expecting him to come into that Roma team and play 90 minutes from game 1 until, I don't know, match day 38. I think nobody was expecting that. So I don't think he's going to go lower. I don't think he's going to go lower than Monza. We'll have more competition playing, and maybe we'll be in the World Cup competition if Napoli loses. Isn't that in 25 in the summer? Yeah, but I don't really care about that. Like, to be honest, I didn't even look. I saw an article about, Napoli need to lose a couple of games. I didn't even read it, because we have bigger issues to worry about, or things to look forward at, than the World Cup in 25. Like, let's first try to actually win a title, and then the World Cup, whatever, it's fun. I don't know. I don't even know the platform, where it's been played. I have absolutely no idea about that. We will see when time comes, if we're actually in it. And even then, that should not be a priority to build your squad. Oh, we play the World Cup. I don't know. Like, it feels something that's going to disappear really soon, or clubs are not really going to take it serious at all. Like, it's just too many games. It's too many games. So we will see. Bremer not going anywhere next season. Let him play Champions League and his value will grow further. You can look at that as well. If you change systems to 4-3-3, they might sell Bremer. He doesn't do well in a 4-3-3. Um, do we have a big enough sample size to say Bremer doesn't do well in a 4-3-3? Um, that being said, I don't know if I need to say it, but if he plays in a 4-3-3 with Danilo, yeah, man, like okay, like I don't think it's fair as well. If but I agree. Like we've not seen, I've not seen it enough in a 4-3-3. I think he's good enough to do that, but you need to pair him with a player who can actually play out from the back properly, and that's just not Danilo as well. On top of that, I don't think Danilo is that great of a defender in a back four. I think he will be exposed big time, and that's just not purely based on um, playing out from the back. Just he's too slow and he looks awkward at times. Let's say they sell Bremer for 80 million and buy Calafiori and Scalvini together for around 75. Do you think that's a good value? Um, I'm still not sold on Scalvini. Maybe it's just me. If I need to go from Bremer to Scalvini, I will be a bit worried next season because I think we will take a big step back, and I think the idea is to improve. So I will be worried. I'm still not 100% sold on Scalvini. That's just me. Maybe I can be completely wrong, but Bremer won Defender of the League at Torino, for goodness sake. So, and it can mean nothing. It can mean a lot, but I'm just not sold on. I can't. Atalanta, like PTSD. Atalanta players. Um, James is saying sell everyone, get as much money as possible. This team has hardly improved in the last 4 years. Get rid of Max. I like him, but he's done. Um, the team um, has not improved over the last 4 years. Has also to do with coaching as well. I know people do not like to hear it, but it is what it is. It's just what it is. Coaching does matter. I don't. I won't say sell everyone, because I think we have some players we can most definitely keep, and we have players we can do, that are good, but you can improve on, no problem. So. No player is untouchable. Juve has become a feeder to other clubs, and when they claim certain players are the center of the project, that's bullshit. As soon as that money on the table, everybody's gone. Yeah, and that's how it should be at the end of the day, because some clubs are just overpaying for players that are not worth it, and like some say, like you can get big money for the player and you can improve with lesser money. That's just me, and I will bring it up again. People do not like it, and I know it's fantasy and it's not gonna happen. But if you need to tell me we can give 9 million euros and a signing bonus to Rabiot or Kroos, I know what I'm gonna take every single day of the week. And that's what I mean with value for the same money, basically, or part of the money. It's not gonna happen, but it was just an example. So if you sell, I don't know. I need to make something. If you sell Vlahovic for 70 million euros, I'm just saying something, and you bring in Boniface, different players, but it works for half of that money almost, then yeah, like it worked and you can deal with it. But I think we need to do a lot of those deals, and that's where I'm very skeptical about it. That's why I'm like, do not sell everybody, or like not everybody is untouchable. I think Rugani is better than Gatti. Why he don't have more play time than Gatti? Gatti's not for a big game. Rugani has more experience. I think Allegri likes the fact that Gatti is more aggressive. I think he's more physical than Rugani, and he can drive with the ball. He can get in those areas. I'm actually very surprised because Gatti is not playing well lately, and he keeps getting the start. So I don't know what it is with Rugani. Alexander is getting more game time now when he's back, since he's back, basically over Rugani, or like that's the feeling you have going forward, and that's actually shocking. It's not surprising, but it is shocking. So that's that. Chiesa. I want to talk about Chiesa. I did record a video on Chiesa that's gonna drop tomorrow, so I'm not gonna spoil it completely. But the report was out there today, saying that Chiesa's renewal depends on if Allegri is gonna be the coach, and everybody was losing it, saying, "Oh yeah," but people already flipped on Chiesa. It's unbelievable. It's actually crazy. But the moment a report comes out saying that, it depends on Allegri. He's too injury prone. He's not a kid anymore. He's asking too much money. He doesn't deserve that. Blah blah blah. All those things. But when the reports are suggesting that it's not about Rugani, it's Rugani about Allegri. It's like, man, what's the club doing? He's our best player. Keep it. That's how it works. Both things can be true, and you cannot be mad at one report and then accept the other report. It can be true that Chiesa's like, I don't want to play this, position anymore. Like, it's not for me. I'm kind of wasting my time here. That can be true. But it can also be true that the club is thinking, you know what? We might need to cash in on you. Now you still have some value, and we move on. That's how you can look at it. Both ways, Which one is true? I don't know. Only time will tell, I guess. I think it's between the middle. I think he wants to stay, but I don't think he likes his position. Why should he? I remember I was live. Was it maybe 2-3 months ago, and we were discussing Chiesa's numbers, and people were trying to convince me he was having a great season, and I thought that was a bit embarrassing. I thought that you were insulting Chiesa because that's not a great season. Oh, but he has 6 goals or like a 6 GA. That's horrible. It's just not good. We're halfway through the season, more than halfway through the season. How many had? Like, somebody know. Hanim probably knows. What is Chiesa's GA? Is it 7? Is it 8? 6 goals, 2 assists? I don't know. In Serie A, by the way, or not. Take the Coppa. I'm not sure if he actually played in the Coppa, but take all the games. Whatever it is, for a player of Chiesa's caliber, it should be easy double figures total. And with easy, I mean, it should be up 13, close. And same for Vlahovic, by the way, but we're talking about Chiesa. It should be easy. And he shouldn't have moments where he completely disappears as well. That's not a great season for Chiesa. Is he at fault? Yeah, a little bit. I agree with that. However, I don't think he suits that formation. And actually, when he plays with Vlahovic, it doesn't look good as well. It doesn't look what it should be looking at. It doesn't look strong. It doesn't look dangerous. It doesn't look like the opponents are looking at Chiesa and Vlahovic up top and they're like, oh my God, gonna be a long day. It just doesn't work. We feel more dangerous with Yildiz in that team, and that's just purely because he's not stick to that formation, or to that position, and he gives Vlahovic a lot of freedom to run. It's more unpredictable. With Chiesa, he's just more deadly when he comes off the wing. And we've seen that. In which game was it when he was putting the crosses and Cambiasso scored? Was it the Coppa Italia game against Frosinone? Was 4.3. 4 goals, 3 assists? So 7 GA. Is that what you're saying? I think against Frosinone is where he looked dynamic or like very dangerous. But that was a lot of the wings. And actually for one game, he wasn't, head down and I'm going straight forward. He was actually looking for teammates, which does help, obviously. But just in general, I think nobody can sit here and say, okay, Chiesa's having a good season. This is fantastic. It's not fantastic. It's actually a bit sad, to be honest, in my opinion, because when you think about Chiesa, you think about something completely different. And yes, the injury took something off it. I get that. But still, if you put him in... What the hell is this now? Oop, that's my bad. Let me get this up. Okay. I think if you give him the freedom he kind of needs, he will give you more, even with post injury. I'm pretty convinced of that. Just because 1 goal is 6. Actually, no, I was talking GA. Like just a total. So 6 goals and 1 assist. So 7. That's horrible. Like that's how many games did we play? 23, 22, and like 2 in the Copa. Like that's horrible. Like that's absolutely dreadful. And 1 is a pen. It counts, but like Chiesa usually doesn't take pens, and Vlahovic handed him 1. So that's just bad. It's just really, really bad. He doesn't like, and Chiesa's never been a high value player for us. It's not that when I think about Chiesa, I'm like, oh, he's gonna smash it. However, he has all the potential and abilities to do that. I think he's just being hold back with this formation. And it could be a reason why he's like, I'm not going to do it. But it could also be the club saying, you know what, we're not going to hand you that 7 million euros for, I don't know, the next 3-4 years, who knows. Um, it's a sad, like, it feels like Dybala all over again. I don't like that the contract talks have stopped, basically. And they're like, we're going to resume it in the summer after the Euros, basically. I'm just not a fan of it. And I'm pretty sure it's going into a direction we're all feeling, and that we're going to kind of look to see if there are going to be any offers for Chiesa. Might be the time to cash in on Chiesa. These injuries. What do you think a club is going to offer for Chiesa? 1 year left on his deal. And like you're saying, if you're saying injuries and all those things, other clubs are going to look at it and have every right to say, man, the injuries. So we cannot say that and then say we want 45, 50 million, because the clubs might be doing the same thing and use the same argument you're using and saying to Juve, we want him, but the injuries, like, we're not going to overpay him. So when we use all those things, be sure clubs interested in him are going to do the same thing and going to say, you know what, injuries. It's just like it works. It works both ways, in my opinion. It does. It does. All I'm saying that if his right offer comes in, we sell. But what is the right offer? That was my question. Like, it's easy to say that, but what is the right offer? And also, how are you gonna like? Let's have two hypotheticals. Let me know in the comments. Answer with A and B. A is we sell Chiesa. Allegri says we stick with this formation. How do you see it pan out? B is we sell Chiesa, but we switch formation. How do you see that pan out? No matter who the coach is, would be, how do you see that pan out? Because we can discuss, I don't know, 20 scenarios, and we can do a 3-hour live show, and I can bring Julian on and discuss that at length. We potentially might do that when time is right, but I don't think it's as easy to say, oh, just let go of Chiesa, because the alternative is probably going to be Felipe Anderson. Keep that in mind, people. And potentially Soulé might stay at the club then. And a lot of people do not rate Soulé. Oh, he's not ready. It's Frosinone, blah, 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 Felipe Anderson. So be careful what you wish for. That's all I'm saying. Be careful. Hanina saying 40 max, excuse me. Keg is saying Chiesa 40 mil would be good. Prem will pay that, potentially. Chiesa for 45 million is fair. Yildiz and Soulé are the future, and we would be crazy to lose them. Not doubting Chiesa's ability. I love Chiesa, but his injuries are worrying. Yeah, but I get that. But clubs are going to use the same thing, and then you get bullshit offers where you're going to sit back and you're like, you know what, just keep him at that point, because that's ridiculous. But also, Felipe Anderson is going to be an alternative. Soulé, who a lot of Juventini are, I don't know why they hate Soulé. I have no idea. Not hate, but like, he's doing it at Frosinone. Is it because the people who are hyping up Soulé do not like Allegri, and it's just, you know what, I'm just going to go against it? But if you sell Chiesa, it's going to be Felipe Anderson, and it's probably going to be Soulé. So, Prem will pay for Chiesa over 60 million. I don't think a Premier League club is going to pay. Like, I would be absolutely stunned if a Premier League club pays 60 million euros for Chiesa. I really would. And I love Soulé, but he's nowhere near Chiesa. Yeah, like he still has a way to go to reach Chiesa. Remember, Nina, I think you're in the chat. I think you were during that live. Remember that live when we were talking about world-class players? And it was about Savic, and it was about Mbappe. I think R&B Comps was also in that live. And Chiesa came up, and I said, Chiesa, I love Chiesa. I absolutely love him, but he's not world-class, And people went over that Euro patch run. I think he's a very good player, Chiesa, but he's not world-class, And that's what I don't think Soulé obviously is world class. I don't think he has reached Chiesa's level. I think they're two different players as well, by the way. Chiesa is very direct, it's speed. Soulé is more refined, more technique, and more with his head. Like he's calm, he's more composed, he's more heads up. So they're two different players, so you will have a different dynamic as well. I don't you can replace them, but the output on the pitch, like real, like just on the eye, it's gonna be completely different. They're two different players. Felipe Anderson, as well. I don't think he's like Chiesa. So that's that. If Chiesa is Soul and we transition into 4-3-3, we have Yildiz Soule as starters and Ealing Jr. and Wea as depth. I really want to believe that Junior won, but yeah, no, like yeah. Then like if that's the scenario, 4-3-3, Yildiz Soule and the backups are Junior and Wea, Allegri's not at the club. If that's a scenario you think is gonna happen next season, then put money on Allegri not being the coach. And actually, for the player's sake, he shouldn't be the coach as well. But I don't think Allegri's gonna accept that. There's no way that's front line Allegri is gonna go into the season. I just that's just wild. Soule is better than Chiesa statistically, yeah, but like it's a one-off season, like just purely based on accolades and whatever. There's still a long way to go. I agree with Henyon. I do remember that live. That was probably the funniest live I've ever done because I couldn't believe the chat. But yeah, Soule is actually better than Chiesa from a creative standpoint. He can play more positions up top and drop into the middle more than Chiesa. He's more versatile. I agree with that. Better. He still has a long way to go. I think he has more, like you said, like he's more versatile. He has more. You have more options with Soule, but Chiesa is very good at that thing he does. I don't think Soule has pinned that down yet. Like it's one season, I agree, but now you need to confirm that, and also you need to confirm that probably at a different club as well. Didn't Juve reject 120 from Chelsea for Chiesa back in? I remember that story. I refuse to believe that was true, because if that offer came in, the club would have sold him. They would have sold him immediately. 120, they would have they would have taken that. 100% they would have taken that. Chiesa hasn't progressed since the Euros, yeah, but like he missed big part of that with his injury, so you need to you just need to include that. But when I look at Wirtz at Leverkusen, same kind of injury, and he's ripping it up. Like I know he's younger, but still, like he got better. Like he looks even better, which is kind of ridiculous. And maybe it's because Leverkusen are actually a very good team. It's not just him, but he looks incredible again. So that's that. Guess who tops Serie A in possession loss per game? Guess who tops Serie A in possession loss per game? It's probably going to be Chiesa, right? Or is it going to be Soule? No, it's probably going to be Soule. Should be Soule because he takes on a lot of players. It should be Soule, right? He takes on a lot of players. So I'm assuming it's going to be Soule. Am I back? Because YouTube kicked me out for 1 second, so let me know if I'm back. Not sure what that was all about. Let me know if I'm back, people, because YouTube did kick me out for 1 second there. So it is Soule. Yeah, it kind of makes sense, to be honest. Chiesa is the best Italian footballer, not saying much, so... Ooh, that's a hot take. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, sorry, not sure what that was about. Malik is saying, Wirtz is the only player to gain superpowers after an SEL turn. Yeah, and it could be that, Leverkusen are a very good team now compared to when he was a spotlight and he actually needs to do all the work. Could be that as well. But he looks very good again. Like he looks very, very good. And I remember I was doing a show with Julian, or like we were recording I think it was a season we did the video before we signed Di Maria, and we had Wirtz on that list. And then even though he had that injury, we still put him on the list because he was extremely young. And yeah, like it worked. We helped him out because he came back and it looks good. He loses possession around 20 times a game. Yeah. If you do that at Juve, it will become an issue, by the way. But that's something he needs to overcome. But it's pure quality. It cannot be denied. Like, there are things he needs to improve on, obviously. Also, it's going to be different because at Frosinone, it's him. Like, you need to do it every single possession, basically. When you play for Juve, it shouldn't be, it's all you. Like, you potentially have, making up Chiesa or Yildiz, and you have different players to make plays. So it doesn't need to come from you every single time you get the ball. You can do it once, and the other time you're like, I'll lay it off, and now it's up to Fajoli, or it's up to Yildiz to, or Chiesa or Vlahovic to make it work. It's not just me. So I get that, but it also needs to put into context a little bit. Who cares who creates more key passes than anyone and dribbles at one of the highest success rate? If he never takes risks, you don't succeed. I agree with that part as well. Not to keep. I don't like the key pass stat. I think that's a weird stat, but all the other stats I do agree on. I do agree. The key passes with a grain of salt. Many of those come from corners. Yeah, but just key passes. In general, I'm not a big fan of the stat. There's a whole description. Maybe if anyone has any time, put that description in the chat, so I'll put it out, because a lot of people use key stats. I'm not sure. It's like expected. Is it like expected goals? I can see, because I can see the, how do you want to say that, the idea behind it, and how it's stacked up between the chances and the goals, and just the eye test. You can kind of put that in perspective. But like expected assists, like that's one of those where I'm like, I'm not sure how I need to check that with my eye test. When I watch Vlahovic, I can see why his expected assists and actual goals are on the same level. When I see Lautaro, I can see it. Expected assist, I'm not sure how to put that. Same for key passes. I'm not a big fan of that. How do you feel about Alcaraz being tested as a right wing back? So he wasn't. I saw the quotes, and actually I couldn't believe it, but I was at work, so I didn't watch it live. So I got back home, I listened to it. He didn't really say wing back. He basically, I don't know, the translation, whatever it was, because I don't speak Spanish. I think the idea, or like what he was trying to say, is Mezzala on the right hand side. I think that's what he was saying, and I think that's just McKennie's role. And again, the translation can be completely off, but he definitely did not say right wing back. He definitely did not say that. That I know for sure. I think he meant Mezzala on the right hand side, just McKennie's position. That's what I believe he said. But it was definitely not right wing back, because if that's the case, if I were Junteli, I would beat down Allegri in the locker room, because that would be absolutely madness. That would be absolutely madness. So I don't think that was what he said. I think it was Mezzala on the right hand side. It would also make no sense, because you have Cambiasso, you have Weah. Like, what type of signing would have that been, to be honest? Alcaraz should start on Monday. Tuttosport said that he could have a lot of minutes. Let's see. You brought him in, you don't have a lot of time, and potentially the next couple of games are just, finish top 4 off, then yeah, you should be playing him, just to see if you have a player there you potentially could spend money on. Not the 50 million, obviously, but talk it over with Southampton and kind of lower the price of that agreement you kind of reached a couple of weeks ago, excuse me. Last part, because it's already 45 minutes, which I was not planning. I was planning to do 25, but thanks, chat, for keeping me going. The next games. I want to talk about the next games. McKennie can go back to right wing back. Cambiasso back on the left to open up spot. Could be. The next games, before I wrap it up. So we have Udinese on Monday. Then we have Verona away. Frosinone at home. Those are the 3 easy games. Those should be the 3 easy games. You should be, pick up again where you left off. And then it gets tricky. Then it gets really tricky, because you have Napoli away, Atalanta at home, Genoa at home, Lazio in Serie A away. Then you have Lazio at home in the Coppa. Then you have Fiorentina at home, Torino away. You have Cagliari. Then you have Lazio again in the Coppa Italia away. Then you have Milan at home, Roma away, and that's it. And then the end of the season, you have Salernitana, Bologna. Like that, the run after the next 3 games. So after Udinese at home, Verona away, and Frosinone at home, it gets crazy. It gets absolutely crazy. It's away at Verona is never easy. I get it, but like if you don't win this season away to Verona, you're probably never ever gonna win again. Like they're not good. They're boring. They're not. a team you're just gonna walk over, but they're not good, you know. But I get what you're saying, but come on. But yeah, after the 3 games, it gets crazy. Um, I'm actually, and this might sound crazy as well, I'm looking forward to the tough games because this is it now. You know, probably not gonna win the title. If anyone still believes that we're gonna win the title, let me know in the comments. You saw the run we're in. You know, yeah, Inter played Champions League twice in between, but you know, let's be realistic here. They need to have an epic collapse, like an epic one, for us to actually win the title. So I'm actually looking forward to that big stretch because now it's a tough stretch. It's a lot of games away from home, and they're just coming each and every single week. You know, there's actually no easy games. We have them all. We had them all. We have them now, and at the end of the season, the last 3, quote unquote, easy. Other than that, it's tough. It's tough, and a lot of those games are away from home. So I'm actually looking forward to it because now I want to see the real improvement of the team. Now I want to see it. Can you pick yourself up after that Inter loss? One. Two is, can you be consistently good against better teams week in, week out? That's 2. And 3, is there actually real improvement and not the points? Because we're not going to go on a 11 winning streak or whatever it was. It's just not going to happen now. I just don't think. Can you actually make it work? Can you play back to back Lazio and Milan and Napoli and Roma and whatever? And can you have a respectable stretch towards the end of the season where can be sit down, look at it, and I'm like, you know what? Actually, there has been more improvement than just we're picking up the points. You know, that's what I'm looking forward to those games. It's gonna be a hellish ride. I don't think it's gonna be a smooth ride. It's gonna be a lot of bumps in the roads. I think there's gonna be some drama, because I think the end of the season it's gonna boil down to big time decisions. Chiesa, Allegri. What about some youngsters? A lot of money on the table. Last summer was extremely boring. This summer, we're gonna have a lot of things to talk about. You know, not all fun things, some depressing things, some very worrying things, but we did nothing for kind of 2-3 summers basically. It's all kind of boiled down to this one. And I'm not saying we're gonna spend 200 million euros, but we're probably gonna be a lot of deals, outgoings, incoming, and potentially a coach. So this summer is gonna be massive. I said jointly I will give you 2 years, not for me to say you're sacked, but for me to say, okay, I can see you're taking us in the right direction. You know, this is 2 summers. This is summer 1. Last summer doesn't count, obviously, but this is summer 1. So let's see. I don't think it's going to be an easy summer for him. The following summer, if everything goes to plan and you compete again and you get into the Champions League and whatever, the following summer is going to be the big time. Now it's making tough decisions and smart decisions at the same time. So he has a lot of work to do. That's why I keep saying I don't like the Rabiot situation. We're like, let's see at the end of the season, let's see where we are. I'm like, you know where we're gonna be, top 4, Champions League. You know, because if you mess that up, you're part of it. You probably need to go as well. So that's why I don't like certain things about contracts. But it's gonna be big. That's a decision the club made. You know, contract talks until the end of the season. So in Juntuli with trust, yeah. For the next 2 summers, I will say in Juntuli with trust, and then I will say if that was a BS slogan or that was actually a very good slogan. But until now, we just need to wait and see. So the coming stretch is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun also for me to talk about. Somebody in the comments yesterday asked when Julian will be back. He will be back the 20... Let me check. 27. So the 28th of this month will be the next podcast, or the next podcast with me and Julian will drop. So at the end of the month, let's see what will happen in between. I know he has a few spicy things. He already texted me that he made an 11 based on Allegri and 11 based on Motta. And yeah, I think he has a lot of things to say on that one as well. But yeah, that's it for me, guys. I'm going to wrap this one up. If you haven't watched today's video, go rewatch that. Tomorrow we'll have a video on Chiesa and Allegri and what I really think about it. And and then I'm gonna do the live preview on Saturday because I'm out on Sunday. So live preview on Saturday, and then as usual the stat video and all those things. Looking at Udinese, and then Monday post game. When do Inter play Roma? Is it Saturday or is it Sunday? Let me check. Saturday. Oh, they play at 6 o'clock. Ah, damn. I was gonna say I can do a watch along, but I'm not. At 6 o'clock, I'm still not back. If it was the late kickoff, I could have done a watch along for that game. Maybe a hate along, jinx along. But I will not be back in time. So, yeah, then it's gonna be just a live preview on Saturday. Thanks everybody for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit that bell notification, and I will see you guys live again on Saturday. Ciao.